All right, let's dive into something super relevant today. Building a solid marketing career in this wild world we're living in. We're taking cues from Rachel Heseltine.
Oh, yeah, she's amazing.
She's not all talk either. She's the VP of SEO at CBS Digital.
Part of Paramount Global.
Exactly.
Impressive.
And it's not like she just climbed some ladder. She's been all over the place in marketing.
News, B2B, even marketplace SEO, you name it.
She started out leading dev and tech teams too before moving into marketing leadership. It's wild.
Really goes to show there's no one way to do it.
Totally. One thing from her presentation really made me think. The average person have like, what, 12-point-something jobs between 18 and 54?
It's a lot, 12.4 to be exact.
It's like constant change.
Well, she makes the case that it's not just normal, it's practically what you have to do in marketing these days. She breaks it down into 3 levels of change that force you to rethink your career. Market shifts, company changes, and then the personal stuff we all go through.
So much to keep up with.
Yeah, but it's exciting too. Think about just market changes alone. Right now, user behavior is going crazy. Inflation is hitting everyone hard.
That monster report, what was it, 2024 Work Watch, 45% of workers are hunting for better paying jobs. Almost half.
Crazy, right? But for someone like you, that's good news. More leverage when you're negotiating. You've got to show what you're worth, especially if you're aiming high.
It's a salary scramble out there. But then there's AI too, exploding onto the scene, changing everything.
AI is the hot topic.
Yeah.
You got to get specific, though, like those AI content tools. Knowing how to use them well, that makes you stand out. It's not just about trends. It's knowing how to actually you see them to your advantage.
So true. Everyone throws around AI is changing everything, but it's different when you see how it actually affects your work.
Absolutely. And then the big one, the elephant in the room, we can't forget Google. Google changes the game constantly, sometimes out of nowhere.
Every time I think I've figured out their algorithm, boom, they switch it up.
Adaptability is key, for sure. But market stuff is just one part. What happens inside companies is a big deal, too. Rachel's big on this, how company changes, if they switch strategies, that can really throw you off.
Even if you're doing a great job, it's like you're killing it, and then, bam, new market focus, and your skills are suddenly not as useful. Talk about frustrating.
Then you've got mergers and acquisitions. Brutal. Harvard Business Review, they said something like 30% of employees are considered redundant in those situations, especially in the same industry.
So many people out of a job. You really can't just rely on one company.
Yeah.
Got to be ready to move, even if you love it there.
And staffing changes. Leads to burnout like crazy. SHRM, I think it was, 44% of workers in the U.S. feel burned out. And they're, get this, 3 times more likely to start job hunting.
3 times. I feel that burnout push.
Yeah.
But even if you're not burned out, life happens. You get married, have kids, or just realize you need a change. Rachel calls those personal changes like a 3rd level that impacts your career.
And it ties into that Department of Labor stat. Average person changes careers 5 to 7 times.
So it's not weird to switch things up.
Not at all. It's almost expected. Rachel's a great example. She went from technical stuff to leadership, all in marketing.
Shows you can reinvent yourself even in the same field.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being trapped. It's about figuring out what makes you happy and going for it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now the question is, how do you actually do that? How do you make those changes?
And that's where networking comes in. Rachel, she was really passionate about this. It's not just about going to events and, shaking hands. It's about building actual relationships that can help you later on.
Especially with all these job changes people make. Having a solid network, that's crucial.
Totally. And Rachel, she suggests doing both. Online, A&D, offline stuff. She's big on those industry-specific online groups.
Makes sense.
You learn so much from others, share ideas, even hear about jobs before they're even posted officially.
Like getting insider info.
Right. And then there's volunteering. Projects that you're actually interested in.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You give back, you build up your portfolio. A&D, you show potential employers what you can do.
And all the marks at once.
Exactly. And don't forget about putting yourself out there. Rachel's a big believer in applying for awards, even if you don't think you'll win.
Interesting. Why if you won't win?
Think about it. The process itself is valuable.
Yeah.
You're summarizing your achievements, putting your skills into words, comparing yourself to others in the field.
Like a self-improvement exercise for free.
Exactly. And who knows, you might actually win. But even if you don't, you walk away with a better sense of what you're worth and a really strong application you can reuse later for jobs.
That's smart. It's like Rachel's whole approach to career moves, thinking long-term, making choices that might seem weird at first but pay off big time down the line.
You're talking about her advice on taking a step back to move forward, right?
Yes. It's counterintuitive, but she makes a good case.
Remember when she talked about her own path? She took a role that seemed like a sideways move. Everyone thought she was crazy. But it exposed her to a totally new area of marketing.
And that experience, it led to her later success. Like, sometimes you have to zig before you can zag.
Exactly. Recognizing those opportunities that might not be obvious right away. The path isn't always a straight line. It's about those calculated risks and being open to unexpected stuff.
Love that analogy of the winding road. Feels more real than that whole climb the ladder thing.
Right. It captures Rachel's whole message. It's not about following a set path. It's about owning the unknown and making your own way.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Constant change in marketing, networking, even taking steps back strategically. But let's bring it back to our listeners for a sec. I bet a lot of people are thinking, should I stay in my job or should I go?
The million-dollar question. Especially since, what was it, almost half of professionals are thinking about quitting this year, according to that Microsoft LinkedIn survey.
So how do you decide? What did Rachel say about that?
She's all about being proactive. It's not about reacting to a bad situation. It's about always checking in with yourself, your goals, and what your current job offers or doesn't offer.
So it's not about that perfect job. It's about figuring out what you need to thrive.
You got it. Sometimes that means staying put and pushing for what you need within your current role. Sometimes it means looking elsewhere. And that's fine.
But before you do anything crazy, Rachel has these questions to consider. Like, is your work still fulfilling?
Yeah.
Are you making a difference? Are there growth opportunities that excite you?
It's all about the big picture.
Right. More than just your job title or salary.
She even mentioned the job market outlook because that matters too. You don't want to jump from the frying pan into the fire.
Got to make those smart choices, not just emotional ones. But Rachel did say sometimes our emotions can mess us up. Remember that stat about the Great Resignation?
Oh yeah, 80% of people who quit during that time, they regretted it later, according to a Paychex survey.
That's huge. Sometimes what seems like a dream job can turn into a nightmare if you don't really think it through.
Definitely food for thought. Take your time with big decisions.
So we've talked about figuring out if it's time for a change.
Yeah.
But what if you've decided it in IS time?
Yeah.
How do you find those amazing opportunities Rachel was talking about?
Well, she goes back to that networking thing. It's not just about staying connected. It's about using your network strategically when you are ready to move.
Yeah, reaching out to people you've worked with, letting them know you're on the hunt, seeing if they've heard anything. It can really make a difference.
Your network is like your secret weapon.
That's a great way to put it. And online networking, she had some cool ideas there too. Going beyond LinkedIn, finding those niche communities where people are sharing job postings and advice and all that.
So many places to look.
Right. And she even mentioned checking the websites of those industry groups, publications. You know, they often have job boards that are really specific to like your exact area of marketing.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Like having a roadmap. It is. And think about Rachel's whole career. It shows you can switch things up, even if your path wasn't like the usual route. She didn't start in SEO. She wasn't even in a leadership role right away. She had to learn new stuff, take on challenges, constantly adapt.
She's a great example.
Yeah.
It makes it seem possible.
Totally. That's what's so cool about her talk. It's not just theory, it's advice based on what she's actually lived.
So as we wrap up, what's the one big thing you hope people take away from this deep dive?
I think it's that a marketing career, it's not a finish line, it's a journey. There will be twists and turns, unexpected stuff, maybe even some steps back.
Like that winding road we were talking about.
Exactly, but that's okay. It's all part of it.
And the important thing is to be proactive, right?
Yeah.
Always think about what you need, your goals, and what's out there.
You nailed it. Don't wait around. Make things happen.
Yeah.
Build that network. Be curious and never be scared to try new things.
Love that. So for our listeners who are maybe feeling stuck or unsure about their marketing career, what's one thing they can do this week to get moving?
I'd say pick one of Rachel's networking tips and just go for it. Join a group online, reach out to someone you admire, or start looking into those industry awards you could apply for.
Taking that first step, even a small one.
That's what matters. And if you want more, definitely check out Rachel's full presentation. It's full of even more advice and stories from her own experience.
This has been so insightful. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into marketing careers.
My pleasure.
We hope everyone feels inspired and ready to build the career they want.
Absolutely. Go for it.